Hello, everybody, and welcome to the June meetup series for our Tidybiology ongoing learning in data science. This month, Akshay and I will be teaching you how to make a personal website using R Markdown, and a useful package called blogdown, which will take your R files that you have and convert them into the public HTML that we all can read. Having a personal website is an important part of your online digital presence. And given that everybody's staying at home, we thought we would take a minute to go ahead and teach you all how to use R to make these files. Let's dive right in.
Hi, for this Tidybiology meetup, we will show you how to make a website using our studio. We will show you how to make a static website as opposed to a dynamic one. So a static website is just contains static HTML and is great if you want to make, for example, a lab website or a personal website. We will show you how to make a static website for Tidybiology itself. And we will be using the package called blogdown. And despite its name, it can be used to make more than just a site for blogs. All right, let's go ahead. So the first thing we want to do is go into our studio, and you need to make sure that you have the blogdown package. And blogdown can be found on CRAN. So if you just go to install packages and type in blogdown, it's there. I already have it, so I won't install it. And once you have blogdown installed, from within blogdown, you want to install this thing called Hugo, which is the static site generator. So I won't do this because I've already installed Hugo. Now, we can make this website entirely in our studio without having to know anything about HTML or CSS or JavaScript. Once we've made a website we're happy with, what we want to do is, or actually before we even do that, we want to have a GitHub repo. And once we make the contents of the website we're happy with, we commit everything to our GitHub repo. And what we then do is we can use this service called Netlify to deploy our website. And the advantage of having it synced with our GitHub repo, which is what we'll do, is that whenever we make a change within our studio and commit that change, your website will be automatically updated. So let's first go to GitHub. This is my GitHub page. And the first thing you want to do is create a new repository. So we will call our repository TeddyBio. It's available. Don't worry about giving it a description, set it to public. And for now, I won't initialize a README. So just create the repository. Great. So this is an empty repo. What you want to then do is copy this link. So just click this. That's copied. And you go into our studio and you create a new project. Click on version control. Click on Git. And paste that link that you just copied. I'm happy with the subdirectory. It's worked out that the project directory name is TeddyBio, which is great. It's the same as the name of the repo. And you create the project, and you switch to the project. You'll see you will now have a Git pane on the top right-hand corner of the screen. And right now there's nothing in there, so this is all good. And now what we want to do is we can make an example site and or a template site. And once we do that, we can make adjustments to that template site. That's how we can build our site. So we won't be building from scratch, which is good. So to do that, you can just type in your console blogdown ::build site. And blogdown comes with many themes. The theme we'll be using today is Lithium. And Lithium is the default theme that build under site calls. So we can just execute this function as is. Dear. Oh, I'm sorry. It is new site. Build site is the very last function we run. All right, wonderful. So you can see you already have all these contents for a fully functional website. Now, blogdown has this feature called live reload. And so whenever you make changes to documents within that are used to make your website, you can see what the website looks like. So this is the folder structure right now. So what was previously an empty directory now is filled with all of these files like config.toml, these various folders, and index.rmd, and so on. And these files and folders are used to build this website. Now we can view this default website from within our studio itself. It has an about page. If you click on GitHub, it'll take you to the GitHub link, and so on. What we can also do is we can pop it out and it'll open up in your default browser. And again, it's a functional website. So what we can do is we can make changes to this website. The first thing we want to do is, so I should say, I will be making the instructions that I'll be giving, obviously specific for this website that we have in mind. But it's just scratching the surface of what you can do with blogdown. If you want to learn everything there is to know, there's this book called Blogdown, and it's by these three authors. I'm definitely butchering this name, but Ihui Shi, he is the creator of Blogdown, and Amber Thomas and Alison Hill. This is a great book. So it's just called Blogdown. Google it. You can buy it. You can buy a hard copy version, or you can just follow this one that's free. So the thing that's most difficult to get used to, at least for me with Blogdown, is understanding the folder structure. So perhaps the most important file is this config.toml. I think TOML stands for Tom's Obvious Minimal Language. And so you can see it contains a lot of information on the website. One of the things we want, so the title is a Hugo website. You can see that here, but we can change that to a Tidybiology website. And like I said, every time you save a change, it builds a new site, which is great. We can leave all of these same, and this config.toml has both absolute URLs. So just a URL that will take you to the destination that's indicated here. It also has relative URLs. So, and that's defined by the folder structure. So this URL here for the about page, this /about/, what it does is it'll take you to, it points you to the content directory and the about.md. So if you look at this default website, in the about, there's this is a hello world example, if you click on this about.md, you see it's the same content. This is a hello world example for, and so on. So we can change that. We can say about, say, Tidy Biology is a project whose aim to, and something. We can come back to this later. And then if you go back to your viewer pane, you'll see it's been updated, which is great. So that's the about.md. And then for the links, we can, so for the GitHub link, we can make it the link to the repo for for the website itself, which is simply this. Save it. If you click on this GitHub, it takes you to the website. And then for Twitter, Tidybiology has its own Twitter page, just called Tidybiology. I think it's lowercase Tidybiology, and that should take you to the Tidybiology Twitter page. And in the description, again, we can just say that's fine. It's a website built through Hugo and Blogdown. Now, one thing we want to change straight away, let's go through this, is this here, this Lee icon here. So it's logo.png. Now, this is where things can get a little bit confusing. That logo.png can be found in the themes directory. And within themes, you have Hugo Lithium. Within Hugo Lithium, you have static. And within static, you have images. And so that's where that hugo.png comes from. So there already exists a Tidybiology website called tidybiology.org. And that was made, again, in our studio. And this is the project for tidybiology.org. So I'm just going to open that as a cheat sheet and copy paste some of the things that are within this project into our new Tidybiology website project. So this is from the existing Tidybiology website. So you can see there are some additional pictures. So there's this picture that Matt made that I think will be nice for the website. So we can just copy that to we will copy that to our TeddyBio website. So let's go TeddyBio, themes, Hugo Lithium, static, images, save. Then we go back to the this project. We see this, it appears here, Tidybiology _ hex.png. So we can just replace this here. Save that. View it. Great. Instead of that Lee thing, you have Tidybiology. And what I like about this is if you go to your About page and you want to go back to your home page, just click on that. So I think that is it for the, I think that's it for the Tamil file. We'll still keep that there. So you can see that there are these example posts. Now those can be found in the content folder and in the post folder within the content folder. So you can see there are all of these. So let's just go ahead and delete these. Yeah. You can see now that I've deleted them. It hasn't. So sometimes when you do this, when you delete it, it doesn't detect that you've deleted a file. It automatically detects when you've edited a file, but sometimes not when you've deleted a file. So what you can do is you can go to your add-ins. You can go to add-ins and then click on serve site. Actually, sorry, that's not the case. Anyway, it still achieved obliquely what I wanted to achieve. So you can see that this is what your website looks like now because you don't have any posts. And towards the end, I'll show you how to add a post easily. Now, what we can do is we can adjust some of the aesthetics. So to do that, so if you go within the into the themes directory, you see all of these other directories, and they contain CSS files, JavaScript files, HTML files, things that you can do that are needed to give the website its structure and shape and look. Now, the Blogdown book recommends that we don't make any changes to any of these folders. So what we can do is, if we want to make a change to, if we want to make an aesthetic change, what we can do is we can copy this layouts folder, for example. We can copy it into our main directory, which is just Tidybiology. We go back up to Tidybiology. It's taking a second. If we go back up to Tidybiology, we'll now see that there's a, oh, I'm sorry. We should give it a name and also just call it layout. I think it is layout. Let me just confirm that layouts. Okay. Right. Now within layouts, you have this partials folder, and within partials, so all of these HTML files, they dictate what your final website looks like. So let's go into, there's a couple of things I want to change. One, I'd like for there to be a background image and maybe even a welcome message on the homepage. So to do that, we go to the footer.html. We can open this in our editor. Okay, so I did lie initially when I said that we wouldn't have to be dealing with HTML or CSS. It's a little bit of HTML, unfortunately, but not too much. So in addition to having a nice homepage image and a message, we also want to get rid of this RSS feed because we don't have that. So to do that, this is the lines 3 to 5 correspond to the RSS feed. So we can just we can comment those lines out. Removing RSS. That's not how you do it. Oh, I see. So this lesser than sign, exclamation mark, dash, dash is the HTML equivalent of ours pound sign. So it comments things out. So we can see we've got rid of the RSS button. Great. And now let us do a couple of things. Let's create an image, put an image on the homepage, and come and write a little welcome message. And to do that, just to make sure that I'm getting it right, I'm just going to copy it from my cheat sheet. Save it. Welcome to Tidybiology. Nice. And if I want to add an image, sorry for moving back and forth. I just want to make sure that I get this right. Yeah. That should hopefully work. Yeah. See? So it's starting to look like a real life website. Nice. Now, let me just pop this open again. If you click on, for example, GitHub, it takes you to the GitHub page, which is great. But I don't like that if you want to go back to tidybiology.org, you have to click the back button. So I want to enable a feature that allows you to click on something and then it opens whatever you clicked on, it gets opened in a new page. So to do that, we can close this footer.html. We can go to the nav.html. And again, because I don't remember, I think I do actually remember this. So on line 11, so that's the command that allows you to click on something, and then by clicking on that thing, you go to the corresponding location. So if you, in this case, if you do, I don't remember it. So I can go once again back to my cheat sheet. There it is. It's target equals blank. Save this. Oh, sorry. All right. Now, when we click on GitHub, nothing happens. Okay, what I'm going to do is just delete all of this because clearly I made a mistake. See if this works. Yes. All right. So now when we click on GitHub, it opens up GitHub in a new pane. We can go back to our website like this. I think that is almost it. I did want to say, if you want to add more links to your navigation pane here, you can just go to config.toml. So for example, if you wanted to, for example, have a link to, well, actually, let me show you. So for the existing Tidybiology website, I made a just a really simple quiz. And that quiz is hosted on shinyapps.io, and it's made using Shiny, which is something we've spoken about previously. And Shiny is a way of making dynamic or things that it's a way of making applications, apps. So this code here, copy this into this. So to make a new item here in your menu bar, you just go, you type in, so if you go to line 21 here, you can see you have square brackets, menu.main, square brackets. You have to give it a name. That'll be the name that you see on the pane. And then a URL, so that when you click on the name, you have, it'll take you to that URL. We save this. Nice. And it's there. Oh, wow. It puts it in alphabetical order automatically. That's clever. And if I click on quiz, it takes me to the Shiny app I'd made a few months ago. So this Shiny app just has a few simple questions on, so if you took the Tidybiology Bootcamp, this data set chromosome will be familiar to you. Let me just clear it. Yeah. So like, for example, there's a question, what type of object is chromosome? I think it's a list. Turns out it's not. So you can use this. You can basically use R from within the website. So do class chromosome and just run that code. And so it's both a tibble and a data frame. So the right answer is data frame tibble. Wonderful. Correct. All right. And there are a couple of 2 or 3 other questions. Okay, almost there. Now the reason, well, I guess one of the reasons this is called blogdown is because it's easy to post blog posts. So to do that, all you have to do is go to add-ins and click on new post. And you get this table that you have to fill. So I can put my name, date is today's date. And you can also define what subdirectory it goes into. So in this case, the default is post. My title can be my first blog post. And I can leave everything else the same. So the default is our markdown. So we can leave it as that, done. And we have a new R markdown file created. Now this should be familiar, and you can see that it puts this blog post on your homepage, but you can change that. So we'll just leave this as is. And so this file, this is familiar. This should be familiar to everyone. This is an R markdown file. So you can put just plain text, hello world, and you can also put in an R chunk. So any code that you enter here will be executed. So something like this. Now don't knit this. That's one difference between a plain R markdown file and R markdown within blogdown. The knitting happens, blogdown takes care of that. So, all right, so I've posted my first blog post, and I've made a few edits. And you can see what it looks like. So you can see it automatically puts it here, my first blog post, that's the title, that's the date. You click on it, and this is it's as though you had knit the markdown file to an HTML file. So you see I typed in hello world, and I printed hello world, and it executed the print command. So that should be it. So okay, this is a website I'm reasonably happy with. And so the next thing to do is just commit everything. Yeah. So we commit. And we give a commit message, my first website. Commit this, and then we push it. For your username and password. I think it did it. Yep. So now you have the repo for your website. Now, so far this website isn't public. To make it publicly available, that's where we use this thing called Netlify that I mentioned at the start of this talk. And it is a free service that allows you to deploy your websites. Now, one way you can do it is, so you set up a free account, log into it, and you can see that there are already a couple of websites that exist. There's the Tidybiology website, and there's one for Jim White's lab. Now, previously, what I did was I would made a mistake. It's actually not complete. What we want to do is what's this? So if we go to Tidybio, we will at some point, I should have pointed this out earlier, a new folder was created called public. And public is the folder that contains everything in the form it needs to be in to make a website. So as you can clearly tell, I had nothing to do with making this public folder. Blogdown translates everything we've done so far into a form that that allows one to make a website. Now, the last thing we want to do is, so far we've just been serving the site. What we want to do is, let me just close it. Actually, we can close tidybiology.org also. And I'm just going to go ahead and reopen it. This is another thing that's recommended, that before you make your final website, the one that you want to deploy, you should restart your RStudio session. So this is probably overkill that I closed everything down. But anyway, so now that we have RStudio reopened, I'm just go to projects, and it's called Tiddybio. Open it. Right. And what we want to do is, so we can either type this out, or there's, so what I just typed out was blogdown : build site. It's rendering content. So it doesn't look like anything's happened, but it's made the files necessary for our website. So instead of typing that out, what you can do is you can just go to add-ins, and like where we previously clicked self-site and new post, there should also be build site. I guess not. I was wrong. Anyway, we can just type in build site like I did. So now what we can do is, that actually didn't make any changes. So what I did previously when I pushed everything to GitHub before doing build site is bad practice. So actually, the config DOML has, I should commit that. So hopefully, the fact that I didn't do it the recommended way shouldn't be too bad. All right, so the same thing, commit, give a commit message, push, and when you push, it will prompt you for your username and password. Cool. Those. And now we're ready to deploy our website. So we go back into Netlify, and we click on this new site from Git button. And it allows you, Netlify allows you to sync with various Git providers, so GitLab. I know GitLab is favored by Duke. It's GitLab, Bitbucket, and we're using GitHub. So it's already been authorized. These are all my, it allows, I've given it access to all my repos. So we will look for the one we just made today, Tiddybio. There it is. Click on that, and it knows which branch to deploy. There's only one branch, but it also knows which, automatically detects the right directory to publish, which is the public directory. So this is all really streamlined and easy to do. And then all you have to do is click deploy site. And you can see in the top left-hand corner a site deploying progress. And there's this random name generator. So that's why our website is currently called Stupefied Hamilton, some numbers. We can thankfully change that. So site deployment progress. All right. So before we actually click on this link, go to domain settings and options, edit site name. We can call it, I think Tiddybio might be taken. Tiddybio, terrible name, but almost certainly not taken. Yeah. So you can see we have a new website called teddybiowebsite.netlify.app. Click on it. It's a website we made. And if you look at, and it's in, you can see the URL address. It's https:// It's the familiar URL we all know. And the about page works. GitHub will take you to the GitHub page, and so on. The blog post, my first blog post. So that's the website. So if you click on this link and send it to a friend, they should be able to view it too. So right now you can see that the name of the website is teddybiowebsite.netlify.app. Now, Matt will talk about how to make custom domains so that you can have a tiddybio.org or a tiddybio.com. That's it. Like I said, this Hugo Lithium is the simplest theme. There are more sophisticated themes. If you wanted to make, for example, an academic website, there's a Hugo academic theme. And again, there's once you run the default website, all you have to do is make edits at the necessary places, and then you have a website. So you don't have to do anything from scratch. The only times when you have to worry about HTML or CSS is when you want to make a few custom changes, but that shouldn't really be much of a concern, especially when you're making your first website. That's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that.
Thanks, Akshay. The last step that we want to show you is how to now take a custom domain name and link it to your Netlify domain. So Akshay just showed you that in the Netlify app, they give you a standard sort of dummy name, just a placeholder, that you can then change. So if we look at this app now, we can see here that I have a domain, and what we call it here is just our tidybiology.org. And this is actually the name that we want to link it to. You can call this anything you want. It doesn't matter. So when you click on it, you can see at the top here, this is the dummy name that the Netlify app assigned to us, just a unique name. We actually don't need to change that at all. When we click on domain settings here, we can see that there's a couple of different domains. By default, if we look at this custom domain section, your site is always accessible via the Netlify subdomain based on the site name. However, custom domains allow you to access your site from one or more non-Netlify domains. So what you first need to do is to purchase the domain that you want. Now, I've done this using Google Domains. It doesn't matter. You can do this really using any sort of domain name purchasing company that you would like. But in this case, Google is quite simple. So I bought this name, tidybiology.org, and we can then over in this DNS settings, we can find all of the domain name server settings for tidybiology.org. Now, if you don't buy your domain through Google and you buy it through another company, it will look a little bit different. But there will always be some setting where you can change the domain name of servers. So we don't need to worry about these name servers. We don't need to worry about any of these other things. What we want to come down and do is we want to make what's called a custom resource record. Now, this custom resource record has several different options of the types of records that you can add to it. What we want is to add a CNAME record. We want this www to point to a different site. The site that we want to point it to should look a little bit familiar. Now, this is called Jovial Pescara, and then a bunch of random numbers. Now, if we go back to our Netlify, we can see the default subdomain is Jovial Pescara. So we want to now take this name here, and we want to then, you can see that this is going to also be our app. But we want to take this and we want to redirect it to the CNAME record. So we go to our custom resource record, and we're going to add a www. We type that in. We then change this to CNAME, or we're adding a CNAME record. And then we type in the address here. And this address is going to be the address that we get from our Netlify subdomain. And when we add that, it'll take a little while, sometimes up to an hour, usually a little bit less. But then this is going to say every time that somebody is going to look for www.your domain, in this case is Tidybiology, it will then redirect this, or it will tell it to point to the information that is at this subdomain. And again, this is going to be our Netlify subdomain that we have. So this essentially is going to be the last step that you need to do in order to take your Netlify subdomain and link it to your custom domain name that you have already purchased. Now, there's going to be plenty of resources to help you with this. There are plenty of resources on the netlify.com site. There's plenty of resources that are going to be available whichever registrar you purchased your custom domain through. So don't feel overwhelmed. It's really just you need to connect these two places. And so there's plenty of resources. The thing that you want to look for is C name, the letter C name. And then this is going to be the information that you need to connect these two resources. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope that you will sort of venture off into developing your own online content and your online personal presence. And I hope that we've helped you. So we'll see you next month.